Hi, hello, and welcome. Today, I'll be giving you my first impressions after playing the first 3 or 4 hours of the new Silent Hill 2 remake. If you've been with my channel before, you might know that I have been a little bit of a fan of Silent Hill 2. I do think it's one of the best survival horror games, and I've made a few videos on it too. Technical details, footage was recorded on a PS5, and there will be minor gameplay spoilers for the first quarter of the game, but nothing relating to the plot. In summary, in case you're busy, is it good? Yes. It is both faithful and loyal while still being distinct and adding new locations, puzzles, gameplay, and lore. Specifically, I'm very happy with what they've done with the combat, the balancing, the dialogue, and the body language and facial animations of the cutscenes. The game is perfect for players that already played Silent Hill 2 multiple times, but it's still accessible to newcomers that know nothing of the series. The game can stand on its own, but obviously, returning players will be best able to enjoy how the remake revisits so many aspects of the original. The Silent Hill 2 remake has made a ton of little changes and placed Easter eggs for players that know the ins and out of Woodside Apartment, Brookhaven Hospital, Toluca Prison, and the Lakeview Hotel. The game has been designed to make sure that players that know the game have new surprises, new content, challenges, puzzles, so that returning to Silent Hill doesn't feel like a stale retread of a 20-year-old game. I should add, the remake is extremely loyal from what I've seen so far when it comes to the plot and the dialogue. The game creators show great awareness of the original game experience, often adding to player expectations new twists or little additions to the different locations, puzzles, and monsters. For example, in the original, James will walk by a gardening shop but not be able to enter, and a little later, James will find a trail of blood that will lead him to the first lying figure in the game. In the remake, the trail of blood will start earlier and lead James through the gardening shop. Here, James will read a note highlighting how mixing the colors white and red is bad luck. These are the colors of Pyramid Head, so it's a little thematic setup that is paid off later. James will have to travel through this shop to continue following the blood trail. The gardening shop is filled with dead and dried plants, highlighting the mystery of what happened to the town and how long it's been since it's been abandoned. After that, the blood trail will continue leading James to the first line figure, which is also in a different location than from the original. It's a very small change, but it shows an awareness of what the player expects and how the remake tries to expand on what is already there. Another notable early change that I really liked is picking up the Woodside Apartment keys. In the original, you just have to find a body in the streets and pick up the keys. You don't have to explore the environment or solve any puzzles. You just have to know where the keys are, and then you can continue on to the apartments. In the remake, you have to head to Neely's bar and solve a series of puzzles there that will involve you visiting new nearby locations and make sure that you read the notes in the area and explore. It's a small change, but it does make you visit new locations and fleshes out some of the stories of the people that live there, making the place feel more lived in than in the original. In terms of the voice acting and cutscenes, I've seen the initial encounters with Angela and Eddie, and in both, the dialogue follows the original very closely, with small changes to make the conversation sound more organic and natural, like real people talking, rather than the more awkward dialogue that the original was known for. Where I've seen the biggest improvements and where the game devs have been taking advantage of modern graphical fidelity is in the facial expressions and body language. James, Eddie, and Angela are now better able to communicate through their gestures and facial movements. Conversations appear genuine, and you can tell what a character is feeling by their facial or body movements. Angela appears unsure and cautious. Eddie appears frazzled and defensive. James comes off as empathetic and sometimes conflicted about his journey to Silent Hill. Another big area of improvement is the combat and the encounters with the monsters. In the original Silent Hill, it was very easy to amass a small mountain of healing items and ammo. Monsters very quickly lost the feeling of being threats once you realize you have tons of healing items and ammunition. In the remake, it feels like the game is far better balanced. Playing on standard difficulty, I'm constantly running out of health items and usually only have a handful of bullets left. The game feels balanced to make you feel constantly on the edge of running out of supplies and making you feel like you always need to be on the constant lookout for more supplies and always wishing to find another health item or some more bullets. So far, I've only used the plank and the pistol. The plank has now been upgraded, having nails now, and the sound effects and feel of using the plank feels visceral. Likewise, I also like how the pistol feels. It only takes a few bullets to put a monster down, but the pistol feels meaty and like it hits with some impact. Enemy tactics have evolved too. I'll try not to give too much away, so minor spoilers here. As the game starts, you'll feel like the enemies have been ported over from the original as is, without changes. But once you start getting used to them, the game will start throwing curveballs at you. Ambushes, decoy, misdirection tactics, and new variants of monsters that will start having new attacks that trigger when you kill them are all going to be thrown your way to make sure you don't get too comfortable. My personal favorites so far are the mannequins, who will frequently cross your field of view in the darkness, lit up only by the flashlight, and then they'll wander off into the dark where you can't see them, and then hide behind a counter, underneath a table, or pressed up against a wall. These new hiding tactics will make you feel paranoid as you explore the poorly lit woodside apartments. Speaking of the apartments, James will find most of the same rooms from the original, like where you get the flashlight, the pistol, the moth room, and the football-themed room next to where you meet Eddie, the door that leads to the building next over, and the stroller in the pool, along with the coin puzzle. But everything else will be changed, including the layout, and there are new puzzles not in the original. And on top of that, the mannequins will be keeping you on your toes to make sure you're being careful as you explore the buildings. Overall, the main sequence of events is untouched. You start the game at the bathroom, you meet Angela in the graveyard, you find the blood trail that leads you to the first line figure, you get the keys to the woodside apartment, Laura kicks the key away from you through the bars. You see Pyramid Head across the hallway glowing red, separated by bars, then encountering him again in the apartment room where James hides in the closet, meeting Eddie, solving the coin puzzle. That is all largely unchanged, but most of the places, mechanics, and events in between have changed. So that way returning players won't be able to just breeze through everything as if it were a copy and paste of the original with updated graphics. Lastly, I wanted to cover Pyramid Head. From the first encounters, it looks like the Blooper team is remaining faithful and true to the original monster. Pyramid Head is not shredded like a bodybuilder like some of his later portrayals after the movies. His body movements are weird, jerky, off-putting, and unnatural. He moves with the same deliberate and slow pace as in the original, where it feels like he doesn't really care too much about what's going on around him. The first encounters with him were awesome and created a strong impression, just like the original did 20 years ago. I'm currently only about a fourth of the way through the game, and I'm really excited to see how Maria's portrayed, how Toluca Prison and the hotel will look, and I'm especially curious and excited to see how the endgame is recreated with modern graphics and sensibilities. But my first impressions are that the Blooper team went out of their way and took a lot of trouble to make a game that is faithful to the original but still new and able to stand on its own as a great survival horror experience for newcomers and returning players. So far, so good. Be sure to subscribe and check in later for more videos on Silent Hill 2 Remake, among other games. Thank you very much for your time, take care, and later.